Hello, happy Thursday, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And thanks, replay viewers, for watching here as well on Facebook and YouTube. Tonight we are working on the Splendid Sampler 2. I typically work on these projects from beginning to end, so here is the project we're doing. It's from the book, The Splendid Sampler 2. It is 100 quilt blocks, and we are working our way through it. So you can find out more info at thesplendidsampler.com. And also check out their Facebook page, the Splendid Sampler on Facebook here. So it is New Block Thursday. That is when the creators, Pat Sloan and Jane Davidson, where they release 4 blocks from the book that the community will work on. So I'm going to show you the new blocks for today, and we are going to start working on one. We are going to do the prep for a pretty big foundation paper piecing quilt block tonight. So I'll walk you through that, kind of how I like starting out a project like a block like this. So that is the plan. And you guys, my interchangeable knitting needles came in the mail today. So tomorrow, for our Finish It Friday, our first Friday of the month, we will go through the new knitting needles, and I'm going to attempt to put them together. So what it is so you have the knitting needles, and they're also square knitting needles, which I've never used before. So we got like these square knitting needles. These ones are little baby ones, but the other side has the bigger ones. We have the square knitting needles, and then you can interchange the cable on them. So I've never done that before. They also have kind of look, there's the square. The square is supposed to be easier for on your hands, so that's good. I'm going to see how I fare with that. I do a lot of repetitive stress type things, so it'll be interesting to see. But we'll go through this a little bit more tomorrow, kind of in detail, what's in the pack, and we'll just check it out. I've never done it before. We'll attempt to attach the cables, and we'll knit something. I think we'll start a dishcloth. That's always fun. That's kind of my go-to knitting project. So we will give that a go tomorrow for Finish It Friday. So I hope you come by tomorrow, especially if you're interested in square needles, never seen those before, and interchangeable cables on the needles. So we're going to check out these collage interchangeable needles. So awesome, and you guys, now we're gonna get into the Splendid Sampler 2. I'll show you the 4 blocks that were released today, and we'll get started. We'll get prepping this this foundation paper piecing block. Okay, here we are tonight. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me. Oh, Valerie, I'm so glad you're here too. Hello, hi, Charla, hi, Gretchen. All right, we might do a little, since we're kind of starting the knitting project tomorrow, Gretchen, we might do a little, it will kind of be a little tutorial on knitting too as well. So, all right, you guys, this is the one we're going to do tonight, Grandfather Clock by Carrie Golder. It is a pretty intense paper piecing one, at least compared to some of the ones that we've been doing. It's more of like a pictorial paper piecing where it actually looks like an object afterwards versus just like kind of cool shapes. So that's the one we're going to do today. Some of the other ones, the 3 other ones are from Pat Sloan, the Starlight Star Bright, which looks awfully sweet. This is on page 48. So this is just a pieced block. So a normal cut the squares and triangles and sew them together type block. All right, and then we have, I have them all marked with my kitty calendar strips. Okay, next up, we have Jane Davidson. So Pat Sloan and Jane Davidson are the authors of this book, so they both have blocks this week. This is making templates. So for this block, she's needle turn appliquing this. So we will be making these shapes. We're going to be making probably our freezer paper templates, and we might do that starch method to pre-turn our needle turn applique. And you know, we have this circle. We could do the tinfoil circle method again, potentially for that. So we'll give this guy a go at some point. There's the grandfather. Okay, that one was on page 87. So if you wanted to do this one, it's on page 87 of the book. Let's see. This is the one we're doing tonight. I got my photocopies ready for that. We'll go over that. And then the Country Star by Nancy Mahoney. That is one of the other ones for tonight. Was that 4? Yeah, that was 4. So this is another foundation paper piecing. So what we're doing here is basically what we'll be doing tonight. But in this case, it turns out to be like a fun star shape. In the one that we're going to do tonight, it's going to be kind of more of a pictorial scene. So here we go. This is the one that we're going to be working on tonight. So this is on page 106 and 107 of the Splendid Sampler book. And the template piece, here we go. Here is the template piece. And I'm going to just lift this up for you guys so you can just see. But here, unfolded, this template, the grandfather clock template, takes up like a whole vertical section of this. So here it is, right in the middle here. This whole entire thing down to here is from the grandfather clock. So all of this is what we're going to be doing. So that's kind of intimidating, right? But, you know, and with all these shapes and all that. But we are going to dig into it. It is going to be like surprisingly easy, I promise. You just go through each little step and it's going to be okay. So, all right, I have made photocopies, pretty like wonky photocopies, but the shapes are there nonetheless. I made photocopies of each section from from our fold-out template there, and you know, here's it looking a little closer. So one thing I did do is I did enlarge the photocopy to 101%. So my mom does it at 102%. So the reasoning is sometimes when you do a photocopy, it kind of shrinks it a little depending on your photocopier. So I just kind of erred on the side of making it like 101% of the original. And if it's a little bit bigger, I can trim it down, or if it's a little too small still, I can add some edging around it. I'm not too worried, but I thought I'd see what happens if I do it at 101%. So my copy is enlarged, you know, just to 101%. So I had to get like 3 different pages to photocopy it all. But anyway, so we are going to start by prepping these printouts. I'm actually going to close the book for now, because first off, I'm going to go ahead and color this before even cutting it out. So one thing that is super tricky, I think, let's see, it was on page 106. One thing that I find tricky with foundation paper piecing is that you can get lost real quick. So for example, look at this shape. So this clock A, this shape is forming this top arc of the clock right there. See how all those little pieces kind of make it look like a curve, which is kind of awesome. It looks like magic. It looks like, how did anyone piece that? It's through foundation paper piecing. So we have this oddball shape, but you know, the moment you turn this, or this shape is separated from all these other shapes, it's like, what do you put where, right? Super duper confusing. So what I like to do, especially with these detailed foundation paper piecing things, is I like to get the colored pencils out. Here's my little color pencil holder, and I will dig into, I will color in all these shapes, and each color will be a swatch of fabric. So I'm going to show you how I do that quick, but let's choose some fabrics. I want to at least choose the fabric of these background pieces, the part that will be foundation paper pieced. This circle, that's going to be applique on later. That we'll figure out later. So one thing I know for sure is that I want my background to be white, and that is just because all of my blocks I'm doing for my particular quilt, I'm using a white background when possible. So that's a parameter I've set for my own quilt. You don't have to do that, obviously. Like here's another option with a not white in the background. But all my other blocks are white, so I'm gonna stick with white, which is what they have here, which is awfully cute. So it looks like I need to just kind of pick right now. I need to pick this kind of outer color, and I got this little inner herringbone deal, and then it looks like this kind of blue arch. Let's see, I just want to double check. Oh yeah, so we do have like the little pendulum thing too. So this little blue bar, that's slightly different. We need to pick that as well. But that I feel like we can pick, you know, once we get to it. What I want to pick now for sure are these 3 jobbies here, because that's going to be my main color. And, you know, the 4th color, which is the background, but that I already have picked as white. So I want to maybe pick a fabric that I have a little bit more of, only because the foundation paper piecings projects, they always take me a little time, and I don't want to accidentally run out of fabric. But I'm already looking at this swirl would be maybe super cool for either this background or this piece. Just because I think the swirl, like all together in little bits, would be kind of like this pretty kind of decorative thing that would kind of go with a grandfather clock maybe. So maybe this is the interior one, because it is going to be on white. This could be like, yeah, all this fun interior stuff. Let's maybe go with that. And then, let's see. You know, I kind of need like a darker color almost. Or I could do like a bright color too. Now I kind of like the idea of the browns. We do have this piece still. We used this in our last block. You know, this kind of looks like what we got going on here. I like the contrast. This one's slightly darker, so it'll contrast against the white nicely. So we'll get our shapes really well. And yeah, I don't know. It's something. This swirl has been calling me for this one. It jumped out at me for the grandfather clock. So I kind of like that. I think I like these two. And then we could do some, you know, as contrasty as we can get. Which, you know, I'm using all these kind of pale colors. But let's maybe this wacky floral. There's a big area here. A floral might be nice. An ornate thing. You know what? I think that's what I'm doing. I'm going to all my most ornate looking colors here. You know what? I think let's do this. I like it. Let's do it. All right. Easy peasy. Quick decision. I like that. All right, so I am going to, first off, I'm going to look into my colored pencils, and I'm going to kind of pick colors to represent these. So that's going to be a little difficult since they're all really close, but for sure I know this is way more yellow than everything else, so I'm going to just pick a straight up yellow, and I know that will be the yellow piece. Let's see. Maybe I will pick a straight up brown to represent that. Maybe even this gold. Yeah, let's go a little, let's try and match the color a little bit more. It's kind of, there, that looks pretty close. I'm going to use this goofy, oh, bronze. That's perfect. So we'll use this bronze color for that. You know, the yellow for this. The white, I will just leave paper color. And then what do we do for this so we don't mess it up with this other color? I'm thinking maybe like a gray. Oh, that's too close to this. Or we could just do something totally different. Let's just make it this like pale lavender color. How about that? So that's what we'll do. I'm also going to cut swatches for this as well. So that will help us out a little bit. So why don't we actually do that first? I'm going to, we'll cut an extra little piece out of here, but let's just make this area our area for swatches. All right, so this yellow, I'm going to just snip a tiny little piece out of here. There we go. That's going to be my swatch for that. We'll do this like lavender. Ooh, that's pretty. We'll do that for this swatch. Get a little swirl in there so I remember there's a swirl. And then we got this bronzy color. And let's get a little snippet from here. You know, this might be a good opportunity to use a bunch of our scraps because we got itty bitty bitty tiny pieces here. So once we get that far, we will use that for some scraps. Let's see. I don't really have any tape by me. I have this blue tape, so we're going to use a tiny piece of this blue tape to just stick these down. I'll have to get some better tape for this. We'll get both of those with that one. There we go. That does the job. So this is just going to be my little color code just because I know I'm going to be working on other things while we do this. And I want to make sure that I can remember the colors here. So, all right, let's start coloring in the template. Oh, hello, Jenna, John, and Justin. All right. Oh, you use a little dab of glue to hold that down. Oh, that's smart. I do have glue handy. I could do that. I will glue these down after I cut this out. So, all right, let's just take a look at this and start coloring it in. So they have kind of laid out the blocks, it looks like, where they exist on here. So like this part here looks like it's the top area. And then we got these little squares here. Those are these. And then the columns down the side. It looks like we got that. This is just one piece. This circle, I think, is just for us later to help position this. And then we have the other pieces here. So let's just start at the top and work our way down. Okay, color pencils. I need you out here. So it looks like we're going to just be working with our bronze and our middle color here. So, all right. We have the white in the background, so that I'm going to leave white. This A1 piece, this looks like it is our lighter swirl color. So I'm going to just sketch this in. I'm going to get a little bit lower for you guys too. Why isn't the template totally round? Why isn't this totally round? Because we are foundation paper piecing. So what that means is we're sewing, with foundation paper piecing, you're always sewing a straight line and you're like crossing over another piece. Because ultimately, we want this to look like we magically were able to cut these random weird shapes to have it be pieced into something that appears like the shape. Oh, the clock center? Why isn't the template totally round? Oh, because this is not the template. So this is just for placement. Down here, here we go. Here is the actual template. So this is what we're going to be using to make, oh my gosh, there's a clock face. Oh, we're going to embroider this too. Oh, cute. All right, so these are the parts. So this is just placement. This is where we're going to place it. So it's just our reference for when we, I suspect, I haven't read all the instructions, but I suspect that this is just so we know where to place. Yeah, see, so here it says center. That's our center, all these center marks. that's to line up with this center. And these are the different shapes of the deal. So that comes later. We don't have to worry about that for a long time yet. So let's, I'm going to just work my way down from the top. So it looks like all of these pieces, except for these little bits up here, are the bronze color. You can kind of see the shapes, so I'm just kind of mimicking the shapes here. This is kind of a fun way to do it, but I mean, you can already see, I mean, remember how crazy this looked? It just looked like a bunch of lines. Now all of a sudden, we can start seeing the shapes here. Like I'm gonna make sure that I am clear that this white is a different color. So I'm just gonna make it a little darker right there. But there we go. See, we totally can see the shape. So now whatever direction we're in, we'll always know, oh, this is bronze. We got to use that you know, darker color there. You know, and ooh, we got to that purple color. That means we got to use that, you know? So then we won't accidentally, like with this A11, we won't accidentally put this brown on. We'll remember, oh, that's white, because I left it white there. So I find this to be like the most important step when you're doing foundation paper piecing. So, all right, we're going to do these. And, oh, this is interesting. So it looks like these two are kind of the opposite direction. So if I'm looking at this, well, here's the other thing to remember, you guys. That's why these are in these positions. So if you look at this, we got this square, right? This is what this is representing. But you can see we got this brown triangle here, but on here it looks like the triangle's here, right? So why is it flipped? It's flipped because we are always going to be working on the back side of these template pieces. So when we have this cut out, we're going to be working on the back. So when we flip it around to the front, then it'll all of a sudden match up here. So that's why, if you're coloring this in, why some of these seem to be reversed in the wrong way, because we are actually going to flip it. We're working from the back, so the fronts, when we flip it around to the front, then it will be right, like the triangle will be there. So I'm going to color in with that bronze this triangle and the little bumpy deal there. Oh, you're paper piecing the tree, the flowering tree. Yep. So I would call the flowering tree block one step easier than this block. So the actual paper piecing of this block is going to be relatively easy. It's actually, I find paper piecing itty bitty pieces like this like super easy, because you don't have big pieces flopping around everywhere. But the assembly of this is going to be more important, because we're going to have all these pieces match up in just the right spot for it to work. Gretchen, we do not have to worry about seam allowance right now. We're going to use the add a quarter ruler, so we're going to completely ignore seam allowance at this stage. But all right, so I have these two. Remember, they look really weird now, but they will be flipped. They will be reversed because we're working from the back. And when they're reversed, then that triangle will go the other direction and hook up into these shapes. All right, let's check out these. And I think we have the same thing here. They're flipped. So when you're coloring it in, it looks like the big piece is the white piece and the skinnier piece is this brown piece. So like here's our shape right there. So a skinny brown and a bigger white. So here is the bigger side, here's the skinny side. Again, it's because we're going to flip it. So we actually need to color the outside piece, I think, with the brown. And we are still this brown, right? Yeah, we're not to that inside piece yet. Okay, and then same thing here, the outside one. This will make a little bit more sense when we cut it out, I think. Oh, you guys start checking out my Instagram. So if you're not on my Instagram, it is Penguin and Fish, you know, A&D for and. It's just like, you know, everywhere else, I'm Penguin and Fish. And I've been posting a few of our new patterns, our new kits that'll be coming out soon, and we are making them in our giant new warehouse. Giant for us. And I'll be like chatting about that soon, but if you want some sneak peeks, I've been, well, in my newsletter, I showed you guys a little bit of our warehouse. I'll take some more photos, and more on that coming soon for sure. But yeah, you can see some of the new patterns that we'll have coming out. Some of the new kits, I mean. But yeah, so that's over on my Instagram, and it'd be awesome if you followed me there too. But yeah, I'm hoping to do a lot more photos and video this year, 2019. So there will be more to see on YouTube and more to see on Instagram this year, hopefully, as well as Facebook here too yet. All right, so that centerpiece that I just did, that is that secondary color, right? We're going to do that swirl color. So that's why I colored it in. It's being covered up by this big clock face here, but if you ignore that, there's one big strip or rectangle, and that's this F area. So it's already starting to shape up. You can start seeing it here, where before it just looked crazy. All right, next page. I will, here we go. I will be cutting this out soon, but I'm going to keep going here. Hold on, I got a weird notification here. There we go. Sorry, YouTubers who saw that. All right. Okay, we're keeping on going down here. So now we're dealing with this arc here. And it looks like we have this arc plus we have some of this this blue here, and that's going to be our yellow. So let's start with this. This is still that purple. We're going to dig into this. Okay. And then these 4 jobbies here are going to be our yellow. I like this purple and yellow. It's cute. All right, and then we got this big piece, and it looks like the little corner bits are purple still. So let me get those. Corner, and then this rest is yellow. But here we got that little. Remember, we got that little goofy blue bit in there. I don't know what color I'm going to do that yet. I'm going to just make it orange. That's my reminder that, like, hey, we got to choose a color for that. I'm not going to bother picking that till later. We'll pick that color when we need to. By that time, maybe we'll have an idea. You know, I haven't really picked this outside circle color or the pendulum color yet. I'm worrying about one thing at a time. I figure we'll find something that will work well with these 3 or 4 fabrics here. So that's just my warning. Like, hey, you didn't pick that color yet. All right, that's that. I think we did that right. Yeah, okay. And then we still have these side bits. That's these little things here. So it looks like the top part is still our purple color, and the bottom is our outside color again. So we're going to do purple here, and same thing on this side. So again, these angles are goofy, but it's because they will be flipped ultimately the other way. Okay. Outside color. Outside color. And then we have this piece here. I think the photocopy turned out a little bit better on my 3rd piece, so I'm going to color it in here. What do we do, though? It is... Oh, the whole thing, it's just this brown and then white little corners here. So I just have to color this in with the brown, and I just leave these white because white equals my white background. All right, and then with all this, I'm just gonna cut it out. I'm not even gonna cut the circle. I'm just gonna cut out this section and leave it as is. So once you have all your pieces colored in, and again, you can cut these out first, but since there's so many and they kind of had them all lined up, I'm coloring it beforehand. So I am just gonna trim this. Yes, Gretchen, it is totally temperature controlled. It is heated. We're actually working in the warehouse, and gets nice and toasty. So yeah, it's all totally climate control for the fabrics and the frames, for all of that. All right, I'm gonna start cutting out the pieces. And you can see we have our actual pieces here, but they did have this extra dotted line, and that represents our seam allowance. A lot of time in patterns, you won't get that. You will only have these shapes, and sometimes they'll be connected to all these other shapes. But in this case, it has it drawn on. I'm gonna roughly cut that out. We will be making perfect seam allowances later. Technically, I could just cut on this line, but it's nice to be able to see that line and use it to measure later. So I am going to cut these out on the seam allowance areas, but don't worry about it being perfectly straight. It is not going to be our be-all, end-all if we get these seam allowance bits just right. So I'm cutting out real quick here. This all, especially if this is your first time paper piecing, foundation paper piecing, might seem crazy town, all of this stuff, all of these weird templates, but it will all come together and it will end up being relaxing even and just fun. All right, so I'm gonna cut out these other shapes. I'm gonna get rid of paper bulk first. Cut this bottom all at once. We'll kind of get to see this starting to come together once I cut this out. All right, snip. And we'll cut this whole section out first and then separate them. Get this guy going. Yeah, so these seam allowances will get covered with fabric, but we need them because we have to sew all these shapes together later. Okay. Oh yeah, we need this. There's a lot of paper piecing blocks this week. So, figured let's do the most intricate looking one. The big reason I wanted to do this foundation paper piecing project today is because I think it's kind of our first, well, I guess the tree, but it's kind of our first in-depth paper piecing, like especially this shape up here, that looks figurative, like it looks like an object. And I thought that would be kind of interesting to play around with. All right, I'm gonna, well, let's just cut a little bit at a time, I suppose. So the crazy part is now that they're separated from the paper, the background paper, it looks all crazy. Like if you just pick this up, you would not know what the heck where this goes, how to put it together or anything. But they do have the different labels. So like this is the H block. So we have H1, H2, H3, H4, 5, 6. So all the H's we sew at the same time. So we start with the first, this will be the first piece that we do. Then the H2 is the second. Each one of these has their own number. So here, J, this is the J block because they have J's. It tells us right here as well. But if we didn't have this, we would be able to see the J. So we know these are the J's. They go together. And it's 1 and 2. So J1 would be the first one we sew. J2 is the second one we sew. So even with like all these mixed up now and not knowing where they go or whatever, what direction, we'll still know what fabric to use because we've color coded it, and what pieces go together. So like this is the I block, and what to sew in what order. So I1 is what we sew first, then I2. Kind of like this neat little jigsaw puzzle. And I find it super satisfying. It's like you figured out like a magic trick. Let's move that guy out of the way. Like, I don't know, before I had heard about foundation paper piecing, I'd seen all these intricate quilts, and it's like, dang, how did they figure out the perfect triangle to put right there, you know? With foundation paper piecing. All right, here's that. Hold on, you guys, getting some water. All right. Gonna lose my voice here tonight. Snip. Almost done here. So this is all we're going to do tonight, guys. We are just prepping these pieces, but after we get all these cut out, we will definitely be ready to start sewing. All right. Almost done. Okay, so that is it. Let's see if we can make this look like a clock now. So we have our color-coded sheet. See now, like, what if you started out with this? You would have a crazy mess and not know what to put where or anything. But now, since we've color-coded it, we should be able to get this together again real easy here. So this part goes here. We do have the seam allowances in here, so we won't get it exact. Oops, losing pieces. That's a problem too. I need to get these all hooked together right away. So, right in a sleeve, one of my plastic sleeves, so I don't lose where they all go. Oh, you binder clip all the pieces. Oh, you know what? That's a great idea. Oh, you binder clip them in the order of assembly. Ooh, we're going to do that. I'm going to do that tonight here too. That's a great idea. Oh, I think I skipped a part. These go here, I think. There we go. Yeah. There. There. Uh-oh. Oh, here. The other piece is there already. So it's something there. This will totally work. It will totally turn into our piece here. But you know what? I think that's a great idea. I'm gonna, oh, and then our color coding sheet. I'm going to clip these together. I'm going to use a Wonder Clip instead of a binder clip because I have it here. So again, we are going to stitch in order of the alphabet. So we're going to start with the A piece, which is the crazy piece with all the little bits in. So that'll be, I think this will be the most fun piece actually. So we'll do this piece first. So the A piece, B, C. I like this idea, clipping them all together. D, E, F, G, H, I, and J, and K. And I am going to put my sheet, my key right in front. So there we are. This will magically turn into a clock. So we are not going to work on this tomorrow, you guys, but we might pick it up on Monday. Oh, I do want to do some, well, you know, let's see, when are we going to work on this? Because I do want to work on some of the free motion quilting. So we might free motion quilt on Monday and then maybe pick this up again on Tuesday. And you guys, it would be nice to just finish this dude from last night too. All we have to do is stitch a few lines on there. Oh, what to work on, right? So tomorrow though, for Finish It Friday, so every Friday, the first of the month, we work on something that I don't have done. We're going to do something a little different. I got from Mass Drop, I got my collage knitting needles. So these are the interchangeable knitting needles. And, you know, these are first of all, they're the square knitting needles, which are wacky. I've never used them before. See, they're not rounded. They have like flat edges. And supposedly that's supposed to be good on the hands. I have no idea. This is kind of a weird little splurge gift, but I thought we'd look at it. And then it has interchangeable cables. So it has like all these different cables, and some are like super soft. I've never knit with those before. So we're going to dig into this. There's a whole, here's, you know, wackadoodle tools to put it together. I have no idea how to do this. I'm going to have to watch a video, and then we'll play around with this tomorrow. We're going to give it a try, and then we're going to just try knitting a few stitches with it and see how it goes. So we'll just do that. Gretchen, to start out knitting, I would, if you have any knitting needles at home already, I would just start with what you got. I think we should do a little knitting tutorial here at some point, just some little knitting. I'll go over kind of what I'm doing tomorrow, but it won't be like a full-fledged knitting tutorial, I don't think. But it might help you a little. But if you have any knitting needles at home, they will be okay to start. Any knitting needles and some yarn. I think if you have a larger knitting needle, kind of like this, it might be a little bit easier than starting with an itty bitty bitty. And then if you're using something like this, don't use like teeny tiny yarn either. Just like, you know, some, you know, I don't know, kind of yarn like this big would be decent. So, and you know what? It'll just be looser or tighter. Yeah, I'm going to start out with the dishcloth too, Leslie. So I do have some of the thread that I like. Here, I'll show you even. So this is what I'm talking about. I will start one of these. This is one that I've made and I've used a bajillion times. But I have some more of this yarn, and I will start another one. I will start this pattern. and it's so easy. So instead of finishing a project tomorrow and finish it Friday, we're going to start another full-blown project. So that's fun. But we'll start a dishcloth like this, and then we can work on it a little bit later. Oh, that's a good suggestion from Noeline. Get a medium-sized yarn so your needles are bigger to learn the basic stocking stitch. Yeah, so that's perfect. So yes, I'm going to be using cotton yarn for those. Yes, Gretchen, for a dish towel, you probably want to use a cotton yarn, so 100% cotton yarn, because it washes well and won't shrink and stuff. So, all right, this is up tomorrow. This is obviously not a beginner. I just said to Gretchen, just use whatever you have for a knitting needle. That's what you should start with. I mean, this is some crazy, wacky thing. I mean, there's square, there's all different sizes. I got these weird cables. I got a million of them all at once. I mean, do not get this if you are just starting. Just whatever knitting needle you can acquire, kind of a bigger size like this would not be a bad idea. That's what you should start with. Don't go out and get anything crazy. Just, go to the Goodwill and get something. That would be plenty good. So, all right, we're going to give this a try tomorrow and see how that goes. So I'm going to flip you around and we'll call it an evening here. Hello, everyone. I got the funny glasses on again tonight here. So, all right, that block is going to be super fun. I think once we start going through this, I think you're going to really like it. I think you're going to learn just how to do those shapes, and it's just going to be like a little magic trick. I'm so excited for it. And then tomorrow we will dig into this. I kind of love this case. It's just little and perfect, and it's not super girly. I hate when they on purpose make stuff super girly. This just looks like a nice little denim case, so I'm really happy about that. It's actually one of the reasons I got it is that it didn't look all purple and pink and swirly and girly. So I'm happy about that. So, all right, guys, I will get this up on YouTube tonight. If you want to do this grandfather clock block with me, be sure to do that coloring in the swatches. It is going to make life easier later. Don't just jump right in and start sewing on it. The color coding really does help, especially with a block like this. So I'll get that up at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube, and it will stay here on Facebook on the Penguin and Fish page as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Finish It Friday. See you guys at 8:30 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Have a great evening. Good night.